my reason for not wearing a poppy is that when I came here in the 60s, as a black person, right, and I find that if you know, people were saying to you, you know, the white folks were saying to you, why are you wearing a poppy?
Why are you wearing a poppy?
Why am I wearing a poppy?
Wow. And are you from the Caribbean?
Yes.
Okay. Did they not realise that thousands or millions of people from the Commonwealth,
of course they
Caribbean, and
but
elsewhere?
It's the colour.
Okay.
And I mean, I had friends that who came here for the Northern Ireland and travel, you know, fighting wars, and they went back home
and for that reason, because of that,
and that was the reason. That was the reason that I never wore a poppy since that time.
That sort of lack of gratitude.
Is that my lack of gratitude
on their part for your people who fought in the wars for the United States?
Yes, I did wear my wear that for them only, you know, remembrance of them. But I would tend on this day today, I would prefer to think about it by I don't have to wear a poppy to remember what my friends went through. I don't have to do that. You know, this day gives me a chance to remember them. David, Ralph.
These are personal friends of yours.
These are personal friends of mine. David,
Commonwealth
Ralph,
soldiers.
Yeah, Ian, all these guys.
Yeah.
You know, I remember my Prime Minister, what's his name? My Prime Minister in Barbados. Well, he's not my Prime Minister at the time because I was in this country. Errol Barrett. Okay. He was in the, he was an Air Force man. You know, these are guys that I remember. Sir Grant Lee Adams. You know, so I don't have to wear a poppy to remember those guys.
Is the poppy worn in the Caribbean? Do people in Barbados?
Yes, they
wear
yes,
it. Okay,
they wear the poppy. And they have remembrance there also in the West Indies. We go to church. On Remembrance Day, you'll find like today the church will be full.
I'm all for wearing it and people's right to wear it, but I think it has become a little bit forced. And anyone who hello mate, how you doing? Anyone who decides, I had a good chat with him last time. Anyone who decides not to wear it is kind of ostracised and picked on. And really, the freedoms that were fought for were the freedom of expression, freedom to wear what you want, freedom to not have to wear something. The Jewish people were forced to wear a star, unfortunately. So yeah, it does become a little bit, well, not fascist, but there's something suspect about forcing or expecting people to wear a certain thing.
This is why, if I had to wear, I would more tend to wear the white poppy.
The white poppy, yeah. I've never seen one. I've heard about them. I've never seen the white poppy.
I have worn the white poppy. I get a lot of looks and so on, but I mean, up to about 4 years ago, I wore the red poppy occasionally. You know.
Same. To be honest, I've worn it before. I haven't worn it this year, and it's just for that reason that I somehow feel that I'm being forced to do something.
Well, why would you feel that way? This is the thing. Why would you?
Well, the pressures that you're
what, you
talking
mean the
about.
looks?
Well, and I haven't heard it. No one said to me, "Why aren't you wearing it?" But you perceive that it is socially unacceptable or a bit of a taboo not to wear a red poppy, and you'll be.
If I say to you, is it because of you being a white guy and I being a black guy that people would more look to you for not wearing it as against me for wearing it? Does that make sense?
It's an interesting question. So people might question the black man for wearing it, and question the white man for not wearing it.
For not wearing it.
There's double that's double
Yes.
standards right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, interesting.
So that's why I asked you what made you believe that, you know, you would feel ostracized for not wearing. And
because
I believe that you feel that way because of probably your foreparents.
yeah.
I don't have, you know, people are not going to expect me as a black guy
It's very
to be thinking about my foreparents.
very interesting that you bring that up. An example I often give, a friend of mine trained in Sandhurst Royal Academy. He was an officer in the British Army, Jordanian guy.
Right.
So obviously Middle Eastern, and he showed me his photos of all the soldiers lined up, and at the back there were several black guys, and it was noticeable. And they must have been from whichever African country that was Commonwealth, perhaps Nigeria, etc. I said, oh, did they put all the black guys at the back? And he said, well, in the photos they put them at the back, but if there's a war, they send them to the front.
Yes, this is what I heard.
It's always been the way. And I'm sure even Irish and Scottish soldiers would have been disproportionately sent to the front, and the poor people from England compared to the upper class who go to the army to be a general or someone high up. The high rank is always the upper class, and the working class kid who had nowhere else to go is shoved in the army as cannon fodder.
I think a lot of young people, young men especially, at 16, who are untrained. I mean, how many people died? Millions. I think a lot of lives were taken.
I was
What's your name, fella?
I'm Ricky.
Ricky, and what's your name?
I'm Arlington.
Arlington. Julian, lovely to meet you. Ricky was saying to me, as a black man, he was scorned for wearing the poppy, or sort of asked why would you wear that? As a white man, I sort of feel compelled to wear it. How do you feel about
that? You understand what I was saying?
It's the double standard.
You see, what I have noticed is when I saw the news, I didn't see a lot of black people in the procession, and we as blacks, we fought in that war as well.
Absolutely.
My grandfather, he fought in the war.
Well, didn't Errol Barra fought in the war? He was
Dipper Barra,
Dipper.
Him and my dad.
Right.
My dad's father, he fought in the war.
You guys both Bayesian then?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Barbados probably must have given many souls to the
Well,
war.
a lot of nationalities who are not a representative, fought in that war that we didn't.
As I was saying to him, that when I came here in the 60s, I don't know where you came but London Transport did refuse to represent any person at the cenotaph. It's only now that London Transport, I'm talking about the London Transport Underground, uses to refuse to represent any black people, and the black guys that uses to insist and wouldn't represent them, they had to go down there on their own. Today now,
We've come a long way. There's still a few miles to go, and we'll keep marching forward. My family are from Ireland. My dad tells me that
I'm from Ireland.
you are. Well, I was going to say.
More Irish.
Exactly. I was going to say there are connections, especially to Barbados, and even parts of Barbados where the accent is like a real West of Ireland accent. And Irish people were taken to the Caribbean just as black African people were. In the 70s, when my dad arrived, there were signs saying no dogs, no blacks, no Irish.
Yes, I remember that.
A generation later, people like me without the accent are able to slip under the radar, and you won't know I'm Irish unless you ask or see my passport. But we do feel the struggle of the black man and the Caribbean, and I'm touched that you would remember the name O'Farrell.
That's Irish.
And cherish your Irish heritage as well as your black heritage. And there's some common links there.
Yeah, we have a lot of white folks from the Irish side of it in Barbados.
Barbados, not because it's a peaceful country.
I'd love to visit. They call
Have you
them.
been? Okay.
No, I've never been even to the Caribbean. The nearest I was Peru, in South America.
that's South America.
But one day I'll make it. But they call you small island people,
yes,
right?
yes.
Now,
That's
what does that mean?
Small island
We're
because
the
it's a small
smallest island.
Okay.
I mean, I think, like when I came here, I thought Barbados was big. Because when we used to go to outings, it used to take ages to get from. Right. So the first time I went home, I hired a car. I filled up the petrol tank. Went around the island about a dozen times. I used up about 2 gallons.
And probably saw several people you knew on the way.
Oh yeah.
And stopped for a chat.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the cosmopolitan cities and the villages in Ireland and the islands in the Caribbean, where people have more time to stop and speak to each other, like we have today.
Yes.
Okay, God bless you.
Thank you. See you again on the Sunday.
Take care.
Take care.